Mayor, the speakers are
thank you.
live.
Thank you.
Do we have the sign-in sheet?
Yes.
Rick?
Thank you. We're all set, call to order. Can everybody mute their telephones or turn them off, whichever you prefer? And I see we have quite a few people that have comments to make today. Just remember, you have 5 minutes. And after 5 minutes, we'll move on to the next one, just so everybody knows. Call to order. The October 12th, 2021 council meeting at Town of Beach Mountain. I need to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Can I just point out a typo on page 5?
Page 5.
At the bottom of page 5, Appalachia, should be Appalachian State University.
Okay,
Welcome.
so noted. Okay. As you can tell, we have one of the council members is ill today, so won't be in, but we have a quorum with 4. So if there's, that's why we're missing one person. Cyclone, you're gonna do the invocation?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. Today, the scriptures from Ecclesiastes, to everything a season, a time for every purpose under heaven. Today, October 12th, Columbus Day, 529 years ago today, Christopher Columbus set foot in what he thought was Asia. Most historians believe it was the Bahamas, so he didn't miss it by too much. But when Chris was born in Genoa, Italy in 1451, and though he was from Italy, he was in the Portuguese Navy, and he sailed all through Europe, around the area, Mediterranean, Africa, all this bit there. So he had quite a bit of experience in sailing, and at the time after this, that Italy, Spain, and Portugal all became very interested in finding a water route to Asia. And what brought this about at this particular time was the old land route went through Constantinople and what was now Turkey, and the religious wars this time, the Muslims took over, and Constantinople became Istanbul, and the Ottoman Empire there would not allow Christian nations to go through there to trade. So they had to find a water route. And Columbus approached the king of Portugal to try to get permission to, and sponsor him with ships to go look for Asia. He was one of the few people that believed that the world was round at this time, and you could reach the east or Asia by sailing west. A lot of people still believe the world was square, and you'd go out and drove the edge with your ship there. Or if that didn't happen, some big sea monster would gobble you up out there somewhere. So he had a hard time with this. And finally, he got to the Spanish King Ferdinand and Queen Isabel. And they listened to him, and finally they agreed to give him 3 ships, the Nina, the Pinta, and Santa Maria. But to outfit these ships, he had to have sailors, and so they didn't really do him a great favor there. To get the sailors, they went through the prisons and got the convicts that were the baddest dudes in the whole land there and signed them up for his sailors on the 3 ships. Of course, these guys, they were willing to do this because they got their freedom for this. But you can imagine it's a frightening experience even with these tough criminals because, they feared, as I said, going over the edge of the earth or what's out there. But finally, got them all there, and they agreed to go. And some people joked that actually it was 4 ships, and one of them went over the edge there, but history I don't think proves that. But finally, he reached what he thought was Asia on the 12th of October. And he was amazed to find the people there. Most of them were pretty friendly to him. So he returned to Spain in March. And then he made another voyage. He actually made 4 voyages. And the second voyage was different than the others because he had 17 ships and 1,200 men. So the purpose of that was to establish a colony in what they called, what we call now the New World. So he brought these, and then he established this, and he went back, and he came back a 3rd time. And when he got to Hispaniola, the governor, Spanish governor, arrested him and put him in chains because he had shot some of his ship's crew for disobeying him. And the reason he shot them for disobeying him was that they treated some of the natives rather cruelly, and so he didn't like that. But they sent him back to Spain. They had a trial, and they acquitted him after he got there. So then he came back for his 4th and last journey, and somewhere in the area of Jamaica, he hit a storm and the ship was damaged. He was over a year getting it repaired to get back to Spain. Columbus, despite all this exploring and all that, he never set foot on U.S. soil, although we say he discovered America. But there's so many towns, rivers, counties, and everything that's named for Columbus. It was said he was a typical government traveler. He didn't know where he was going, and when he got there, he didn't know where he was. But Columbus is no longer politically correct. Recently, the past few years, they've been tearing down his statues, dumped them in the river. In fact, yesterday, a lot of the places celebrated his Indigenous Peoples Day. And so this seems to be the thing now. But the first state to have Columbus Day was Colorado in 1906. And then Congress in 1934 established the federal holiday. And later years, it's been more of a celebration of immigrants from Italy than it has actually the man Columbus himself, because so many of them identified with him. He wasn't perfect by any means, but according to the standards of his day, he tried to treat the natives with respect. There's a quote by Dr. Robert Royer, who wrote several books on Columbus. I think probably pretty well describes it, plus a lot's going on today. He said, if we start canceling every person in the past because they were not perfect, eventually we will cancel everyone. So will you bow your heads, please? Lord, we thank you for letting us come here. We thank you for the freedoms that we have. And we pray, Lord, you'll help us preserve them. And we ask, Lord, that you'll be with our military, our firefighters, our EMTs, law enforcement. Pray, Lord, that you'll grant wisdom to our President Joe, our Governor Roy, our Mayor Barry, and the council. And we ask, Lord, you continue to bless the United States of America and Beach Mountain. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hannah, I don't know if I took a vote on the agenda.
I was interrupted, but you're correct, yes, you did go.
Okay, I need the vote on the agenda. So all in
Second.
favor? So, I made that corrected?
Thank you.
Okay. I need a pledge of allegiance.
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, we have quite a few people that have for public comments. Just so you know, when you come up, it's 5 minutes. And also, please identify yourself and your address. Mr. King, you're up.
Howdy folks, Wilson King, next door, 405 Beach Mountain Parkway. If you recall last meeting, I spoke advocating a 10-mile-an-hour speed limit on Dog Paw Path. You folks, and I gave lots of examples of observations I had made in the last 4 or 5 decades from next door in my office of poor driving and bad sportsmanship, bad actors anyway. You chose another avenue, and I appreciate that. You did the speed bumps, and I think that's a very good move. I still think you should lower the speed limit as a matter of printed policy, but that can come later on. Most of the examples I used were semi-ancient history, but I've got a couple of new examples tonight of what goes on our roads, if you haven't been real close to them lately. The first one happened exactly 2 days after the last meeting. On that Thursday after the Tuesday meeting, I rode my bicycle up to the Sky Bar. Now, it was closed, so there's no spirits involved, but part of my ride, it involves 2 stretches of gravel roads. I went into a blind curve on one of those roads. Now, I'm a pretty conservative rider, and I try to be safe. Through long experience, trials and errors, mostly errors, I've learned that pain is painful. So I try to be careful. I ride on my side of the road, and I ride slow. And thank goodness I did, because in the middle of that curve, I met a pickup truck flying low, as they say in the old country. If I had been on even the left-hand side of my lane, I think I would have been history. If you want to get a feeling of vulnerability, jump up on a bicycle and let a half-wit in a pickup truck come barreling down the road at you. It'll get your attention. That's why I advocate 15-mile-an-hour speed limits on our gravel roads and strict enforcement. The second example is even more chilling because it involved a group of children. I was in my parking lot and I looked over towards the brick oven, and lo and behold, there comes a stream of kids across the road. Now, they were little guys, maybe a day camp group. They were supervised, but the chaperones had gone on ahead and were leading them across. So there was a steady stream of, again, little ones coming across. About that time, a big black SUV comes around the corner at speed. Now, anybody with any common sense would have stopped immediately. Not this guy. He pulls on up closer to the line of kids and actually surges a few times. And I'm thinking, what is going on here? It reminded me of one of those cartoon cars that has 2 eyes and a face and a leering grin that's going to get somebody. The first thing I thought was, we're in trouble. This is a portent. Second thing I thought was, what can we do about it? Now, I'm a believer in action rather than reaction. Action is cheaper and more efficient. So I started thinking about what we could do. We could use stop signs. We could use a roundabout. Both of those might work. Most towns have a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit through the main part of their town, and I'm in favor of that. I don't think a bypass is going to work for Beach Mountain. I don't think that's in the cards. But we could reprise your solution of a series of crosswalks with speed bumps. The main thing is we realize that we have a problem. It's growing, as I mentioned last time, with the number of new businesses and the more business, the activities and the town services that are in this area. We're looking at a congregation and serious problems, I think. My My plea is that you would at least sit down and have conversation about this. We've been forewarned, so there's no excuse anymore. We've got to address the traffic problem. As an aside, I talked to a contractor who's building an Eagle's Nest. He told me he learned that he could use Beach Mountain as a cut-through and save time. Now, what he was saying was he could defy our speed limit with impunity and make better time at our expense. When people ignore our rules and regulations, they disrespect our town and they disrespect us. And I don't like that. And I trust that you feel the same way, and that you will take these things under advisement and be thinking about it and set strict speed limits, strict traffic regulations, and demand enforcement. And I finally ask that you look after or think about us poor bike riders.
Thank you. Dr. Murray, Dr. Miller?
Murray Miller. I'm here representing the Mountain Ambulance and Healthcare Service. I wanted to thank council for passing the ordinance to get an ambulance here on Beach Mountain. Subsequently, I heard the mayor's comments that he was concerned that the Beach Mountain taxpayers' dollars go to the benefit of the Beach Mountain, not the surrounding communities. In view of this necessity, I'm not certain as to what our overall needs were. Mountain Ambulance had a meeting with the fire chief to evaluate this and felt it was necessary to have a impartial, apolitical organization. Accordingly, Mountain Ambulance has signed a contract with Emergency Services Consulting International to assess EMS system and the long-range EMS master plan. This will be involving the entire high country, all the organizations, and the information thus gleaned will be supported by everybody for everybody. Thank you.
Good, thank you. Nancy Holt, you okay? Thank you. Darcy, what's the last name?
Stiver,
Geiger. Give your address and
124 Raven Road. And I'm not here to complain about anything. I want to thank you for allowing Susie to continue making our mountain beautiful. And I want to thank all the individuals I have seen hiking and walking around the mountain who've taken their own time and their own trash bags. And as they walk, they are so gracious. They pick up all the trash along the way. I have a friend who does this religiously, and I am thankful. And I just wanted you to encourage that type of behavior. Thank you.
thank you, appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Jeff Kaiser? Jeff?
Oh,
No, you sign first.
He yields his time.
Yes, it's time.
He yields his time to wipe the smiles off your face.
Mike, give your address, please.
103 Woodland Road. It seemed pretty simple when it started. We need a 15-mile-an-hour speed limit on Woodland Road. So my neighbor Jeff spoke to Barry, and I wrote the following letter after his conversation with Barry. And I'll give you a copy of this, Tomer, so you don't have to write down everything I say. And I wrote this to what I thought were my friends on the council. To all my friends in town government, my neighbor Jeff Kessler has tried to explain to Barry the absolute necessity for a 15-mile-an-hour speed limit and sign on Woodland Road. The explanation he received in response was that this is something the council doesn't like to do, without any further comment on why that might be so. I'm not going to speculate on the reasons that the council doesn't feel like doing this. Instead, I said, Jeff and I would like to be put on the agenda of the October 12th meeting so that we may present our case. I know Bob, Barry, Widener, and Aaron personally, and consider you not only neighbors and friends, but dedicated citizens giving your time and effort to the town government. I don't think that this request should be put in an adversarial confrontation when you consider the facts to be heard. For example, there are 3 actual family residents on Woodland Road: the Levys, the Kesslers, and the Chases. We have all lived here between 17 and 20 years. The other 4 houses on our road are now used as Airbnbs for transients all summer and winter, which the town either condones or can do nothing about at this point. That's a lot of strangers driving up and down our road where our families have dogs and grandchildren all summer. We have tried slow-down signs and even stopped a car or 2, but because the visitors keep changing all the time, it doesn't matter who you stop. Moreover, Woodland Road is a link to the Mill Pond Road, which means that they both connect to the hiking trails that lead all the way from Red Fox all the way back up to the Beach Mountain Parkway extension. People drive down that road to wherever they want to go to the end of the road to park their car and hike on the road. So can you imagine the traffic that's going down the road? Then they park their car, then they go on their hike, then they come back. So this is not only dangerous to the people living on the road, the guests that we have, the hikers and their kids who are hiking on Woodland Road that are coming and going from the Red Fox Trail. We have been told that getting this sign is an exercise in futility. I don't think that's the case, and I think Mr. King has also made a point. We should have 15-mile-an-hour signs on every gravel road on this town. This is what the citizens want. This is what the people want. We have already tried with the sign, and my friend stands out there and says, slow down, like a lot of good that does, right? Hawthorne Road has a sign, Chestnut Road now has a sign, and there may be other roads that deserve a sign. We're not any better than any of them, but we're certainly not any worse than them. And we think that this should be evaluated by the council, and we want to be put on the agenda so that we can have a vote and see who is interested in the safety of the citizens of this town and who isn't. So, I don't understand why the council would say no so emphatically. Just know we wouldn't respect you even enough to put you on the agenda and let you have your say at a point other than where it sounds like you're just whining about something. So we're not whining about something. We hope you'll be convinced by this presentation and by my neighbor when he speaks to take this up at the next meeting on your agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeff?
I know a lot of you don't know me, but I've been here almost 20 years.
Put your, no, name, full name and address.
Jeff Kessler, 102 Woodland Road. Been here a long time. I'm a retired jockey, and I love it up here. I think this is a really nice place to be. We're having some problems. Our area has become an Airbnb community. These people really don't care. They really don't care. They will blast their music till 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, suck down a couple of cases of beer, and fly up and down our gravel road. The end of July, when my grandkids were here, my 7-year-old almost got run over by one of these guys. I stop them when I can, and they say to me, there's no signs on this road, there's no speed signs at all, blah, 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 go, and off they go. It does absolutely no good. When we talked about this, like Mike said, we got a reply that the council doesn't do this kind of stuff, or doesn't like to do this kind of stuff. I didn't know what that meant, so I didn't get offended right away. And I asked Mike, what does that mean? He didn't know either. I know the council can do this. I know the council wants to do this to keep everybody safe. I don't want to run these people out of here that are renting because it takes away from the business people here. And they do very well from it, and that's good. I want everybody to make a buck. I made mine, you got to make yours. But still, we got to keep things under control. This shouldn't be a gravel dirt road over 15 miles an hour. I shouldn't have to stand out there with signs and pull my granddaughter out of the way of this idiot coming up the road with a beer in his hand. It's wrong. I don't know what the problem is. Is it the $20 speed sign it costs? Is it $50, whatever it costs? I'll pay. I don't care. I don't want my kids killed. Whenever I'm asked to do anything for the mountain, I try to do it, and I keep my mouth shut, and I don't create any problems. They came to me, Jeff, we know you love dogs.
just like Barry. And can you contribute to the new dog park? I bought a bench. I don't care. I don't even use the dog park because I got an unfriendly dog. So I don't even use it, but it's fine. Guys, we have to do something. It shouldn't even be an argument. I agree with everything you said. I mean, it's everything I was going to say. You took everything away from me, by the way. That's all right. That's all right. Anyway, that's all I've got to say. And I just hope we can get together on some of this. It's not a big deal putting in a 50-mile-an-hour speed sign and saving somebody's life. And as far as, like Mike said, if you go to my house on the weekends, you will see a steady stream of hikers walking up and down. And the rest of it will be all of these Airbnb people flying up and down with their cars. It's a dangerous road, Woodland Road. Anyway, that's it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Sandy Carr?
Hi, Sandy Carr, 505 Pine Ridge Road, and I'm also the chairwoman for the TDA, the Tourist Development Authority. On the agenda, I've noted that you guys are taking a look at board replacement for the TDA. For those of you who just need a little bit of background, the council appoints volunteers to serve on the TDA board. The TDA board is basically responsible for allocating occupancy tax, which is collected by the lodging partners. It's the TDA board's mission to spend that occupancy tax in marketing dollars. And we've enjoyed a very good relationship with the town, funding many of the wonderful projects that you guys enjoy and also our visitors enjoy. Last year, I think we collected over 1.2 million in occupancy tax, so it is not. The council, I'm sure many of you are aware, Tamara, the clerk, sends out packets that include this specific time 4 applications for the TDA. I think we're running out of battery. Possible? Okay. The council of those 4 applicants, I think you as council are familiar with 1 or 2 of them. There happens to be one of the applicants that I don't feel that you're very familiar with, but I think would be a very good fit for the TDA board. As TDA chair, I'm here to let you know a little bit about this person's qualifications without telling anybody names. If you are interested, you can go in on the website, look at all of the applications, and I think you will see by far it's very clear and apparent that this person has the qualifications I think would make an exceptional board member. Let's see. I really want to thank all of the people for applying, and the person that I think would be the best fit has marketing experience from Wells Fargo. They are a part-time person and they're working at one of our largest lodging partners. They have a lot of real-time trend information about what you guys were talking a little bit about, the short-term rental market and the type of people that we are attracting to this mountain. They have noticed a really significant increase in growth in our families. So they do have the, finger on the pulse of the growth pattern that we're experiencing. And another really big thing that this particular volunteer would have is availability. Some of the candidates are full-time people up here, and they work in industries that are slammed during the winter and the summertime. And I really need a person that is going to be on my board or the TDA board that can help with decisions and be part of the process that we have to disperse this money. And then this person is also a very active volunteer in the community. I appreciate you allowing me to give you this input as the TDA chair and letting you know the candidate that I feel is the best fit. I would ask that you would hold off and give equal consideration to all of these candidates. I know that you guys are particularly familiar with one or two of them. Instead of rushing to a judgment or an appointment, I would love for you all to take the time to get to know this other candidate, and I think you would see that their qualifications are exemplary. And I think that this person is the best fit for us. Barry, do I have a second for 40 birthdays? A couple 40th birthdays?
You've got 8 seconds.
8 seconds, okay. We have the webcam up. It's at the beautiful Buckeye Lake down there. You can look at it through the Recreation Department. There's a link. All of our 50 businesses should probably put that link on there, and already the Rec Department has received positive comments like, is it really that pretty down there? So please take a look at that.
Thank you.
It is coming out.
You took over?
Okay.
You went past the 8 seconds.
Is he going down on me? Okay.
I was resetting you as you were going. Bob, do you want to make a presentation?
Is that where we're at?
Yep.
Sorry, I was doing some AV work here. Mayor and council and to the public, each month the town recognizes one of its local businesses on the mountain. We started this about 2 years ago to highlight a local business and to give them an opportunity to introduce themselves. And this month we've invited top stainers, Michael Martinez, if you'd come up. Come say hi and tell us a little bit about your business. I promise I'm going to be short too. And we went long. You have to hold that mic.
Yeah, thank you. I brought my wife too. We work together. Guys, I just want to thank you for the opportunity, to the council, to the mayor, to the town manager. This is a great idea to promote local businesses and showcase all we do. I'll pass it to my wife. We're going to take some turns on some things.
Yeah, my name is Ellen Martinez, and we moved down to Houston many years ago now. I'm originally from Sweden, and he's from New York, so how we ended up in Houston, I don't know. But we started a business there, a pressure washing business, in 2015, which we ran very successfully for many years, and we added services as a demand arose. So when we sold that business and moved up here in 2019, we offered pressure washing and wood staining, window cleaning, and painting. So when we came up here, we realized there's not such a big need for driveway cleaning up here, so we focused in on the wood staining and the wood cleaning. So that's what we've been doing up here now for 2 years. And we have a job now and then down in Banner Elk, but really 90% of our business is right up here on Beach Mountain.
Yeah, we do a main focus on exterior wood staining. We'll do mainly decks. We do houses. We do log cabins. We do most of our work right on beach, which we like. We like to work in the community, and we like to work close to home too. It's not a bad deal, and it benefits the community even better because we keep the houses looking their best. When we first came up here, we sat with the paint rep at Benjamin Moore, and we asked him, we said, you know, what do we got to do to grow our business up here? He said, look, Mike, just show up on time and you'll beat 90% of the competition. I thought he was kidding. Maybe it's even just show up at this point. And so we brought all the things that we carried that helped us become a successful business in Houston here. Our wood staining work, we're typically booked up 6 months to a year. And so we just book them up to the winter, and then when the schedule fills up, we book them up into next year. Currently, we're booking into July. And so we do interior painting work in the wintertime, and then we do pressure washing with our wood cleaning too. And it's just been great up here. You know, it's just been good, and we're happy to be a part of and contribute to the community. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I need a motion to accept the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. favor?
Aye.
All right, I need a motion for a public hearing on the Chapter 154, permitting use of mobile public safety facility.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I need a motion to approve the permit, to amend the permit.
Make a motion.
All in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
Mayor, can we close the public hearing?
I need a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
All
Second.
in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I needed that.
Old business. Town manager review.
Mayor, last month, the town council asked me to go out and investigate removable speed bumps for Bark Park Way. And I asked the Public Works Director, Daniel Davis, to do that. What we found out was they're available. They're about $2,500 per bump to be purchased, installed, and they are removable. It is about a 6-inch rubber bump. It's not a hump, it's a bump, and it's nailed directly into the asphalt. It's yellow, it's black with yellow chevrons on it, and that is a possibility for Bark Park Way. As I explained last month, we had a process going forward on Bark Park Way with the pedestrian crossings. We don't call those speed humps; those are pedestrian crosswalks. They just happen to be raised. We'll have the signage in place, and there's still some signage to go along Bark Park Way. So what I'm really asking is direction from the council. Do you want me to go forward with the removable? Do we want to see how the crosswalks work when we get the signage, or what's your pleasure on that?
Comments?
I think we've accomplished what we needed to with the pedestrian crosswalks, and personally, I don't think we need to spend the money on
It
that.
has made a difference in vehicles slowing down.
For sure.
All works for everybody?
Okay.
We're good the way we are.
That's what we'll do.
Yep.
And Mayor, I may have been messing with the mic. Did you take a vote on 8.1, the zoning ordinance?
We're doing that now.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
Chief, I do have a question on them.
You're trying to jump ahead.
Oh, sorry.
The signage that goes up, I assume it will be something fluorescent that's on the left and right side, that you'll be able to see it in both directions?
Yes, are you familiar with, in front of Lee's McRae, the crosswalks there in that 25-mile-an-hour zone? Those are DOT signs that we're required to put up that designate a crosswalk. It allows us to, one, enforce it if a vehicle doesn't stop for a pedestrian in the crosswalk. So we're bound by that design through the Uniform Traffic Code. Those will be put up on both sides in both directions.
I saw a sign recently that it was a crosswalk, and it was in the center of the road, about 3 or 4 feet tall. I mean, I think that what we're doing is fine, but just for, if it needs to be fine-tuned, just for reference, do you know what I'm referring to?
Yes, we actually own some of those. Last year, if you recall, we put those on the parkway during sledding season when children were crossing the parkway.
Correct.
They're fluorescent crosswalk. They go on the yellow line. We own those, and we would use those on a high impact or busy weekend with the sledding hill.
Thank you.
Okay. New business, I need a motion to accept the planning board recommendation on changing the public safety facility ordinance. The planning board approved this on September 27th, 2021.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. 10.2, Tourism Development Authority vacant term. Do I have a nomination?
I nominate Aaron Moss.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
In favor? You're in favor? Because no vote is a yes vote.
I'm going to say nay.
Okay. 3 yes and 1 nay. All in favor? Fire department report?
I'll do the town manager,
Town
mayor, and I'll
manager.
just incorporate all that.
Okay.
Last month, I was accused of being short with my report, so I'm gonna make up for it this month, if you will. COVID-19 update, our case numbers are slowly coming down in both counties, Watauga and Avery. We continue to closely monitor the state requirements for any adjustments that the town has to make. Our fuel spill at Public Works that occurred 30 years ago that I reported to you, we were having to report to the state. We had to hire a geotechnical engineer to fill out the paperwork. The good news is the case has been resolved and closed by the state, so that took us 30 years, but it's done. The sledding hill, we had a short-term lease with both the landowners. Both have agreed to re-up that lease for 5 years with a 5-year extension. That's a big deal for the town because we're starting to invest over there in that sledding hill. So I want to say thank you to Jim Brooks and Jimmy Accardi for allowing us to use their property for that sledding hill. The ropes course at Shane Park, it's under construction. It's fully paid by donations. We've had 3 families, 3 people in the town to thank. Dr. Shane, of course, Chris Vasiloff, and Mike and Mimi Brown all contributed the total cost of the ropes course, and it's under construction. We'll have it done shortly. Let's see, I gave you the speed bumps. Dumpsters. The dumpsters, all accounts except 4 have been installed, and we're working on the required enclosures. We've given a number of entities some leeway, 60 to 90 days on the enclosures. They've had difficulty getting the drawing, getting the contractor. So some of the dumpsters you see aren't going to be exactly where they are unless they're in an enclosure now. So they're working on that. We have 4 accounts that were problematic. We're working through those one at a time, but the rollout was on time. We had them in place by the 1st of October. It's important to note that the town stopped billing those accounts as the 1st of October for sanitation, so that's been transitioned to Republic Services. Our parking lot on Bar Parkway will be open soon. The paving's done, the striping's done. We needed some weather to do some final grading and signs. We have the signs. Believe it or not, you can't buy sign posts, and those have been on order for some time, and we're waiting for those to be delivered. All the staff has been trained in operating the parking lot and the parking enforcement, and our equipment is in place. The Wi-Fi is going in this week, and it'll be ready to go. Our new 911 telephone system, after 2 years of hard work by Chief Barnett, has been successfully installed. We've gone through the 2-week testing period with no glitches, so that project is in place, and that's a hosted 911 system. You may recall the state is funding that at 100%, and it's state-of-the-art. It's tied us in with Watauga and Boone as well, so we're very proud of getting that project done. The EMS station, you heard Dr. Miller talk about the Mountain Ambulance and Healthcare Foundation is doing their study. We are working with both Watauga and Avery County to finalize our agreement on the unit. We've put a down payment on the housing, which you approved tonight. Thank you. We'll get that in place and moving as quickly as possible to get that EMS unit up here. It'll be at Fire Station 2 for the next couple of years until a permanent base can be built. Flu shots, we're offering them here at the Town Hall on October 28th. 10 to 1, provided by the Avery Health Department. No appointment is needed. Please bring your insurance card, and we've got notice on the website if you forget about it and want to take a look at that. We encourage everyone to get a flu shot, and if you can make it to Town Hall on the 28th, that'd be great. Some not so good news unless you're a certain individual. Senate Bill 241 became effective October 1st. It allows UTVs to be operated on town roads in the state, throughout the state, and any highway that's under 55 miles an hour. The police department has reviewed that law, and we'll be making adjustments and bringing them forward to you for our ordinances that we'll have to amend. As a result of our town hall meeting regarding trash, our trash town hall meeting we had at Buckeye, we've established a recycling committee. You may recall there was 2 citizens, young ladies who expressed interest in assisting the town in improving our recycling. We've got that committee together along with another individual. I've partnered them with some staff at Public Works. Their first meeting is tomorrow, and what we're focusing on is to first, organization of our recycling, better signage so that there's a better direction for people there, education and operations, and having some of our people at the recycling center assist in getting the recycling center easier to use, more user-friendly, and more importantly to me, when we take recycling loads to the facility, we can actually recycle and get paid for it. So that was good. The Lake Coffee Reservoir, our engineers under contract, you approved that last month. The contract has been signed, design and permitting is underway. We're still negotiating a final agreement with the resort. We worked on that today a little bit, but that is full force. We've got a meeting with the state next week on site to go over some of the permitting issues. Along that line, we applied for a $9.8 million grant from the federal government for that project. It's a competitive grant, so it's not, I don't have great expectations, but if you don't ask, you can't get. So it's a 70-30 split. It's actually a $14 million grant. It would get us about $9.8 million, plus we can use in-kind services to offset some of that. And I'll keep you informed as we go forward. We did get an initial letter from FEMA, who it's through, that they've accepted our application and we'll move it to the next step. So we're looking for a number of ways to fund that project. One question for the council, and I don't need an answer tonight, but if you'd like to give me a call, I would like to have at least a temporary change in the personnel policy as it regards to holiday leave. Holiday leave is accrued mostly by our people who work during a holiday. Police would be the major employee group. Public Works has some. So they earn holiday time that they can take off at another point in time. Our policy says that time has to be used or it's lost by October 31st of each year. This problem has occurred in last year and this year is we've had short staffing for 2 reasons. One, we've had COVID illnesses, which has impacted mostly our police department, and we've had some low employee numbers that we've had to replace. I have a number of employees that are going to lose time that we have not allowed them to take. What I'd like to know is their interest in the town council that I can amend that policy to move those unused hours to their sick leave. It's not leave that they can sell or that they can use, but it does assist them when they leave the town. In the future, it can be converted when they resign, retire, whatever. So I'd like to be able to reach back out to that group, the subset group. There's about 10 of them that have somewhere between 20 and 30. One has 60 hours that we have not allowed them to take. So if you'd like to give me a call or give me an email, let me know what you think. I'd like to do something for that group of employees.
I'll go ahead and tell you now, I'm in favor of it.
Can it be moved to December 31st?
I can. Realistically, Mayor, I won't be able to get them off. Several of the police officers are already over hours on other hours, and in speaking with the chief, we just don't have the availability in the schedule to get their time off. So they either lose it or we try and do something about it. One, I've had a lot of suggestions, but I think that the most cost-effective way for the town is to convert it to sick leave and let that accumulate.
I'm in favor of that.
So if they go to sick leave, then that accumulates as a benefit for them when they retire, or is it something that if you get sick for 2 months, you can draw off that money?
Oh, yes. Well, first off, if it goes to their sick leave, they can use it as sick leave when they're ill. The benefit of having it accrue on sick leave is that they have an option to have that converted when they retire.
Okay.
So I don't need an answer tonight. I just wanted to bring that out in public and see what you thought. Last thing, great news. Kate Gravanis, our TDA and Economic Development Director, just graduated and received a diploma in marketing for travel and tourism from the Southern Tourism Society Marketing College. And she's been involved in this for a number of years. I think before I became the manager, she was involved in this course. She's completed it. I got a copy of the diploma, and very proud of her. So I want to take the opportunity to let you know that tonight. That's my report, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Town council comments, Mr. Abernathy?
Just wanted to make a few brief comments about STRs. They are a significant source of our revenue, and I know there's been some chatter here lately about maybe council addressing this. I do think it needs to be reviewed, and we need to look at what's working, maybe what's not working with the neighbors. If there's something that's not working for the town, everyone that's involved. Chief, as far as you know, from a health and environmental issue with STRs on the mountain, has there been any septic overflows that have created any issues that you're aware of?
No, and part of the problem is we wouldn't be able to tell. One of the main issues that we've identified and the planning committee identified is we don't know who the STRs are and where they are. And I'm not aware of any septic overflows of anything, whether it's short-term rental or not, or seasonal or full-time. But it's hard for me to say definitively what category it comes in.
Who would be, if there was an issue with this, would the town be able to shut the house down if it is a rental, or would this come from the county?
Well, it wouldn't, and correct me if I'm wrong, it wouldn't matter if it's a rental or a seasonal or a year-round resident. If there's a failure of the septic system, the health department is the controlling entity. The town would notify the health department of the violation or the issue, and the health department, along with the town, would then make the owner of the property repair, depending on what the issue is, repair the drain field. It would not be specific to the use of the property, it would be specific to the failure.
And last question, since a lot of the, actually two more questions. Since a lot of these homes aren't identified, what does PD do, or someone like yourself, if there's an emergency and you have no contact information?
Well, that was identified by the planning board as well, having contact information. But go back to the bigger issue, we don't know who is an STR, a short-term rental, and who isn't. So currently, if we have call-out information in dispatch, and we do on quite a few residences, it's not accurate, it's not kept up. But typically, either the police department or the fire or EMS, we call dispatch and ask if they have contact information for the address, regardless of the use of the property. If they have the contact information, we make contact. Typically, the house has been sold, it changed hands, the people aren't there. It doesn't work more often than it does.
And last question, since a lot of these homes aren't identified, would it be feasible to hire an outside firm to try to locate who rents these?
Well, yes. I qualify that. The TDA hired a firm to do exactly that a couple years ago, I think 3 years ago. I think it was called STR Helper. And it was, it had limited success. What it did is it increased our occupancy tax, but it did not give us a specific address and name of a property that we could put on the list. Recently, the TDA has hired another company to what they call scrub the internet to see who's advertising, and that's called AirDNA. And what that has turned back to us is aggregate numbers, gross numbers of how many are in Beech Mountain, but again, we're not getting the specific address, name, identifying information on the piece of property.
Thank you.
Is this a statewide problem or a Beech Mountain problem?
No, this is statewide.
Mr. Cardy?
Oh, yes, sir. Couple things. Let's see. First, congratulations to Aaron Moss on the TDA board. I think you'll be a fine fit and be independent and do really well with that. Secondly, congrats on Kate getting that diploma. I know back when I was on the TDA, she was starting to work on that. I believe with the TDA, I did review all the candidates and I am familiar with them, so I'm confident in my decision. Definitely do my due diligence on that. With the speed limit issues, they keep coming up. I'd like to ask the council if we should consider a town hall meeting, such as we did with the trash, if you think we would have success with that moving forward, or get more residents' input. And then, let's see. I see a lot of new faces at Public Works, and they're smiling and working hard, and I think it's great. We've had success hiring people in the town of Beech Mountain. They have a lot of other places to go, so I think that says we're doing something right, and it starts with Chief Putney, and it goes all the way down to us, and so I'm happy to see new employees in the town, and most of them are younger, so that's a good thing. And then last thing is on ESPN2 at 7:30. Go Apps. So make sure you watch the game.
Absolutely.
Important. Yeah, very. Ms. Gagne?
He's wearing his colors. Of course it is. I've got several things that I had written down as I went through things. First of all, I agree with Councilman Accardi. I think we need to revisit the speed limit. It's been an extremely busy summer here. Perfect example will be, I teach the fitness classes at the country club, and instead of losing people, I'm gaining people in my classes. So no one's leaving, we have more people coming. So with that comes 3 residents on a gravel road and 4 Airbnbs. So I think we probably need to take a look at that, because the traffic is steadily not slowing down, and we're getting ready to come into ski season. So it's going to do nothing but, after leaf looking, we may have a lull, but then it's going to pick right back up. I want to say kudos to Sean and the rec program, because if you look at their numbers compared to what they're doing in the programs and the growth that we've seen, they've done an amazing job of being able to offer programs not only for our adults but our new families and our visitors this summer that have doubled in a year. So it's pretty amazing. Along with the growth, of course, Preston and the planning group, if you look at the number of building permits, all you have to do, if you haven't looked at those, is just drive around and look and see all the contractors that are coming up, all of the dump trucks that are coming up, and on just about every street, there's more people are working more year-round. And I know that we're weather limited, but it seems to me the more I'm hearing is if we get things closed in, we can continue working on things. So there is development going on even in the colder weather. The TDA, Kate and Sandy and that group has done an amazing job promoting beach, and we can clearly see the difference that last summer. I'm pretty confident we're going to see the same kind of numbers that we saw last winter at the resort. Things aren't slowing down, we're growing. So they're doing just a great job with all of that. Along with Councilman Accardi, Public Works, even though they're still challenged with the passes, which leads into the STRs, I choose to drop my garbage off at the convenience center, and the gentlemen that are on the receiving end of that are still telling me that they're very challenged with a lot of our STRs. They're coming in there with no temporary passes. They're having a continuous problem with that, even though we're lucky enough to have the option of buying passes at Fred's and they're coming to the town hall. We're still having a disconnect with our Airbnbs, and that's a problem that we need to continue to look at, because we don't know. You know, if I personally rented my home, and I don't, but if I did, I'd certainly want the police in the town hall to have all the pertinent contact information in case something were to happen. But that, in fact, is not the case, and it's awful hard to get a grasp on that. So I think that we need to look at STRs again and revisit that. Along with the speed on the gravel roads, I agree with Councilman Accardi. Maybe an open meeting is something that we need to have, so that we can have folks express that. I live on Grassy Gap, and I can tell you, right on the second green, and I have people that are not doing the speed limit, that are flying past my home, heading towards St. Andrews, not the least bit hitting the brakes at all, and it's not emergency vehicles. So it's not just the gravel roads, it's everywhere. I'm thrilled to death with the crosswalks going up to Bark Park. I'd love to see 2 or 3 more right here as you cross from the town hall and the chamber to the Brick and or Emerald Outback parking and or the crosswalk where Fred's, where our cluster areas are. That may be something that we need to look at, because we're not losing tourists and we're not losing residents, we're gaining. So I think there's a lot of work that we still need to do, and I think there's a lot of things that we need to take a look at and get feedback. And again, I truly appreciate Chief Putney for the work he's doing with our employees. They're prideful, they work very hard, and they really enjoy and working and spending time investing on the mountain, and it shows. But we do have some challenges, we do have some problems. We need to look at those, and we need to address those. Once again, I respect my colleagues and for the right of their opinions and what they do, and appreciate the fact we can work together collaboratively, and that starts with our leadership, and that's our mayor, and that's our town manager. That's all I have.
Thank you. Just as a follow-up, just remember, the first part of the road is a state road. There's nothing we can do on a state road. We can't put anything in front of a state road. And the speed limit on the state road is 25 miles an hour. There's nothing we can do about that. If I remember correctly, we tried to get a crosswalk where the old sled hill was.
Right.
The state would not give us a crosswalk because it's on a curve. If it's on a curve, can't see what's coming, they won't give you a crosswalk. So there's nothing we can do on the state road, absolutely nothing. When Wilson was talking about in front of over here, it's a state road. There's nothing we can do. If a driver is irresponsible, unfortunately, there's not much as a council, unless the police department sits out there.
I was going to say, can we have police sit out there?
But we're limited to how many police officers we have. So if we're going to administrate the parkway, we're going to administrate every gravel road, I mean, we're going to need another 25 police officers, which is not feasible, obviously. Secondly, I don't know, I've read recently, Blowing Rock has an issue with noise, trucks, speeding on 321. That's also a state highway. And they're trying to get the police department, the chief of police, to administer the speed limit and tickets. And one of the comments the police chief made, they want to know why they're not stopping the 18-wheelers, which are making the most noise and are not really following the speed. And the chief's comment was, where am I going to pull them over? There's no place for them to park. So they can't issue any tickets. So it's not only unique for us, it's unique everywhere. And so Glory Rock is I should say, a little upscale community, and they're not happy about speed limits either. I mean, it's a uniform problem anywhere. I'm sure I lived in Florida. That was an issue. I mean, everywhere. If people are not going to respect other people's safety, then you know, how far do we go? That's my issue. You know, one thing, one of our council members, who happens not to be here today, Kelly Mullane, asked the chief of police for some numbers on fatalities or accidents. And to our surprise, it's 0, 0. So, for as long as Beach Mountain has been here, and our town manager is also who goes on most of the calls if there's an accident or anything for the last 12 years. And he hasn't dealt with any in the last 12 years. So the point I'm trying to bring out is, where do we go and how far do we go? And that's the, I mean, it's how far do we teach people to be responsible for other people? And so I don't know if that ever get done. I don't know if we put 15 miles an hour, if we put 10 miles an hour. I don't know if it will ever, you can never get people to follow the speed limit. So I'm just bringing it up for something to think about. As far as the short-term rental, as far as the garbage situation, as you know, December 31st, they all have to have bear-proof bins. So they will not be going to the community center. That problem should get resolved. So that'll be less strain for the public works. So hopefully we can cut down that by a great deal by December 31st. And other than that, I understand Sandy's position. She feels that the gentleman that we picked, that being working at the resort, couldn't give his full attention to the job. But I think, as a conscientious person, I think he should be able to. So that's why we picked. And then Kelly wasn't here, but that was her vote also. So that's all I have. Thank you.
This is kind of hard for me to say, but I support and agree with everything you just said.
That's scary. that makes me nervous. Now, at this point, the citizens have an opportunity to make comments on the agenda that we just talked about. If anybody wants to make any comments before we adjourn, then I need a motion. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, I'd like to make a comment. I actually talked to Kelly right before the meeting, and she was hesitant, and she had not actually even read the application in her packet. So that's why I was asking for an equal consideration, because I know that you all are familiar with Amos, and nothing against him. I'm sure he's a lovely, wonderful person, and I'm going to look forward to working with him. But I feel that you did not have the opportunity to explore the other candidates. But I'm sure that it will all work out well. And now I'm running off to Red Cross.
Just so you know, she texted me and said she was in favor of it.
Okay. Well,
just so
actually,
you know.
that's not what she had said.
Just so you know. Thank you.
Well, thank you guys. And as always, I really want to thank staff. Not only did they push through with some construction issues and shortages on supplies, but also some underground surprises. So as usual, the Beach Mountain employees are doing a wonderful job for us, and I know we all appreciate it.
Thank you.
You guys have a good rest of the meeting.
Thank you. Also, just one other thing, as you know, at the end of the month, we always have a Halloween party down at the Buckeye. And we're always looking for volunteers that want to be ghosts and scare all the kids. So if you want to be a ghost and...
Lager would fit that role.
Well, he agreed with me, so he can't go with that anymore. So if anybody wants to volunteer. I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much for attending.
Cameron gave you that, please, to record.
Yeah, I think you should say 28, because I thought Taylor says 25.
This morning about 4:30. Okay.
That's why that's why I put my phone on, just thinking, I'm gonna look back and see.
Oh, that's not good. I don't like that.